So we're gonna get into the main topic tonight, and that was about the popular toys through each decade, and some of them you may know very well. Some of them you played with. Some of them you maybe seen in your parents' old boxes or something. You didn't know what they were, but we're gonna go over those.
We're not going over that type of toy.
No, but some parents, keep memorabilias. Don't be so. It's not that late night to talk about that kind of stuff, Rogue.
I'm just playing.
It's okay. So, holiday toys from the past. That's what we're here for today. Now, did you know in the 1910s that's when the teddy bear became pretty popular? And do you know like the story behind the teddy bear?
Actually, yeah. So
Oh, it's on
I
the
was
screen,
but
but
I was a big fan of Teddy Roosevelt. He's actually my favorite president. So
okay.
His whole story and being the police commissioner in New York, everything like that. That was when presidents were like, in my view, the last cool one was Roosevelt.
Ooh.
But yeah, actually, I had a teddy bear from, I guess not that old, but it was like this leather bomber jacket teddy bear like pilot thing that was from Great Britain. I don't know. It was just a teddy bear that had a leather jacket and khaki pants, and I was trying to figure out what it was.
I mean, teddy bears, you can. I mean, they have a whole store now where you can build teddy bears. But back in the 1910s, there was only a few, and it was this style of teddy bear, and it was kind of came about because he was told to go bear hunting, and then he didn't want to hunt this one bear that they caught for him to get because it wasn't a sportsman thing to do, and that took the world by storm. And then someone made a teddy bear out of it, and they called it a teddy bear.
Well, I mean, Roosevelt was a big naturalist, and
yeah,
him and was it.
So they made a cartoon, and to honor that, they made a teddy bear, and it's been a child's toy ever since. My kid has a teddy bear. I'm sure some of us had. So the next decade is the 20s. And oddly enough, the number one toy in that decade was the yo-yo.
All right. How many in the chat had their yo-yo phase? Like, we all had to have it, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was fun, right? To do all those tricks and try to do the walking the dog and the swing. I was pretty good at it for a little bit.
So how many were like the realist and didn't get the ones with the brains?
I had both. There's ones now that like help it spin, but the one from the one of the 20, you literally had to like really flick it to get it to spin and do the tricks that
because you're basically
they show
focusing on the momentum to keep it from coming back up. And
right. And the yo-yo's been around forever. It's just became really popular. Yeah. Became really popular as a toy in the 20s. So some people say it was like the Greece or the Philippines, but no, it was kind of like all over the place. Think about it.
What's so design wise, what's your yo-yo you liked most? Because I always like the ones that flared out, like the
I always like the ones that lit up when they spun.
Okay.
Those were fun at night. Yo-yo MTV raps. Yeah.
Back when MTV
See, yo-yos, all kinds of like it's all intertwined through our culture. So I'm glad this toy.
How long could you walk the dog for?
I don't remember, but it was a while. It was a good, maybe a few. I mean, as a kid, you're like, wow, that's amazing. It could be like 10 seconds, but there's world records out there of people that do a lot more.
I remember middle school. I had a keychain yo-yo, and it actually went back into the keychain, and you could pull it out and just start yo-yoing. So like,
yeah,
board in class just started yo. It got taken away twice.
And There was the butterfly style, which flared out. So
Yeah.
R2 says he likes that one. So the next decade is a doll. And do you know who Shirley Temple is?
Yeah, big time star, and also a
Yeah.
non-alcoholic drink.
Yeah, so she was such a big time star. They made a Christmas doll out of her, and all the kids and little people bought them. It was like crazy. Like they were priced around $3, $5. Which was a lot at that time. And over 7 years, they made $45 million. So that toy like took off.
I mean, that's also
And you can buy one of those right now for $1,500 on eBay, apparently.
But think about it this way: it's also during the Depression, right? You had the Great Depression right then, too, and like the Dust Bowl and all that. So you had that much money being made back then on a doll, like
but she was super popular. She was like one of the first big time child stars, and she wasn't too weird like nowadays. I don't think. I'm sure maybe Hannah Montana had a doll, but I don't think it sold that many.
No, I don't think so either.
How many Zords do you think they've sold?
How many Zords at I don't know. I've seen like 5. I've only seen a few in person. And Disneyland, they have a lot more people that have them. Disney World, there's so many international and out of state guests that like most people don't buy super complicated things.
Yeah.
So like if they'll get something, they'll get the little magnetic porg or something like that. But the Shirley Temple doll, I think my grandmother had one of those.
Okay.
We sold it a while back to buy a Mustang. So
well, there you go, right? You sell a Mustang you sell your doll for a Mustang. That's pretty good. That's how valuable these are. So the next toy is another simple toy, like the Yo-Yo. It's the Slinky from the 40s. I have a Slinky today with my kid. He loves them.
I think I had like 4 or 5 of them. I didn't use them the way you were supposed to. So I used it like. Well, okay, so I love Mortal Kombat and I love Scorpion. So I used my Slinky like it would be the Scorpion like grapple thing when he would go, "Get over here." So I did that, but I took the end of it and made it into a little spike.
Yeah.
So it would actually get into the skin.
You're terrifying.
But
don't mess with Rogue, folks. He'll stab you with a Slinky.
Me and my buddy Andrew, he lives over in the UK now. He works at Pinewood in London as a stunt actor. We would do that in our recess in the elementary school. And one time it missed and hit the person watching his eye. And I could never have a Slinky again. Because my dad was like, "How did you?" And I'm like, "Well, it's it's a metal thing. It could bend a little bit." And then we figured out we could own one. We figured out we could tighten it to make it go faster.
Yeah. So and that was a common problem, right? That like people would tangle them up and
that's why after a while they started just being plastic. You couldn't get metal ones anymore.
Yeah, I have a metal one, but I don't tangle them. Maybe I use them differently than you all.
You could also like
so 1950s Potato Head was the #1 toy. Yeah, I'm having a day. So did you have a Potato Head? I did.
I had a Darth Vader one.
Oh, really?
I had a Darth Vader one. That was the only it was weird because it was a knockoff. So normally Mr. Potato Head's supposed to be brown. This one was painted completely black. So it would really look like Darth Vader. Like he was all, and I'm like, well, and my dad got it on 52nd Street or something in Manhattan off the back of like I wanted a Darth Vader potato head. It was like the
came out. They have all kinds of different kinds now, and he's kind of been changed a little bit over the few years. And down here in this little blurb that says the commercial catchphrase was, "Can I have that? I want that." And it generated more than 4 million in sales. That line. Yeah. It's a fun toy. I know it's changed over years, and you can buy more parts and switch them out. And he's a TV star, movie star. The next big toy, 1960s, G.I. Joe, by Hasbro. And they had all kinds. They weren't the small ones that you see them today. They were, I think, like at least 6 inches. So they made all kinds of scuba guys.
But you don't know the names,
sailors.
You don't know the names of the Joes?
Not all by heart. Do you?
I was always the Storm Shadow guy. Like, I always liked Storm Shadow.
Well, I don't know if Storm Shadow was in this decade.
He was in the late 70s or 80s, I think.
So what happened was G.I. Joe was big time, and then sometime after the 70s, because they retired the toy and then brought them back to the little ones. And that's when you had the ones that you remember from the 80s.
I think the interesting thing is at the same time Joe came out in the 60s, Action Man came out over in the UK. So like they had like it was, I think, a few years later, 66 for Action Man. I think Joe was a few years earlier.
Yeah. And the reason why they went to the 3-inch was because of our next toy. And that's Star Wars. And this is when things got crazy, right? In the 70s and 80s, like Star Wars toys, like kids just ate these up. And that's when you started getting a movie and toys, show and toys. It was like a given, or it went the other way. Like, we make a toy, so you're going to make a show.
This is also like the first like Kickstarter kind of in some way, because remember, you got the promise of a toy.
Yeah, you bought a card or a box where you were going to put your toys once they came out, and then they sold so many of those, they had to change dates, and people got them different times, and they rushed a lot of stuff. But yeah, if you have one of the original 1970 Star Wars action figures, you cherish those.
Yeah, those Kenner ones. The color, some of the coloring was weird, but like the Vader was always good. Like, I've seen a couple of those go up for auction that I was like.
Well, they had the lightsaber in the hand, right? You push the button and they would pop out. Yeah, and those broke, so they changed those. And then you had some of them that were just reused, like they were the same guy, just different outfits.
Did you have any early era Star Wars figures?
I do. Now, they were given to me from other family members, but yeah, I didn't get them originally. But yeah, I have some, or I've bought some. Yeah, there's some behind me on my
wall of stuff.
There. Yeah, one of these days I'm just gonna do like a pan of all that stuff back there so you can see. Yeah, a lot of people say here, yeah, the original Star Wars toys were an empty box and a promise to mail you toys once they were made. R2 thought that was funny.
It is. It's modern day.
Vader said he had all of them.
Do you still have all of them, or did you?
Yeah, no, they disappeared. Like the Force.
Look to see who sold them.
Maybe your mom sold them. Moms do that. Now the 80s, again, remember I told you that there was a show and then toys. This is one of those. So you have Cabbage Patch Kids. And they had a show and then you had a toy. And this one was another toy that just went crazy. And people bought these and fought for them. This is kind of what spun those other, like a movie like Jingle All the Way. And like moms like fought each other for these things.
I put it this way. I think we had 3 in the house and they weren't for us. Like, my mom got them. Like, yeah, we never touched them. We didn't care. I think by the time And I was
Well, people started collecting them because you had different ones for, just like Star Wars, right? They had different characters, or G.I. Joe. They had different ones. And then Garbage Pail Kids came out. That was another thing that went with this. Those were fun.
Yeah, I like
it didn't inspire Chucky, Jacob. That was My Buddy. Which another big toy that came out around the 80s like this, but My Buddy was bigger and he looked like a real boy. It was kind of creepy.
They had a lot of dolls like that in like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Those were like sometimes any of those like baby dolls that were too realistic. Like no. There's a reason why Annabelle exists as a movie, and it's because of those dolls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boys destroyed Cabbage Patch, girls played. Yeah, they were, and they got like their own little names, and you can collect them. So that was, people like that. So.
But you have to also remember at the same time frame we were getting at the 80s, we were also getting like He-Man that started up.
That's what I'm saying.
Ninja Turtles and stuff. Like you had a lot of boy toys coming in.
Yes, Barbie was another one. So Tickle Me Elmo was in the 90s, and this was like 10 times what the Cabbage Patch craziness was. I do remember when I was a kid seeing the news of people just standing in line forever or fighting for these things, going from store to store.
Never understood why.
Stampedes, crowds. And it was just a doll that laughed when you touched it.
I never understood it. I'm like, Elmo is not even close to my favorite. Like, if you would consider a Sesame Street character that just deserved to have a toy, it's like the Count. Like he should have had, but I don't get it. I was, I guess 8 or so, or 10.
You weren't into Elmo?
No. At that point in time, I think I just got a 64, and N64, I think.
Okay, yeah, there you go. N64, yeah. Furby. Someone said Furby. Yeah, Furby was a
I had
big
Tamagotchi.
Around this
those were big too. The Tamagotchi.
The little digital animal you had to take care of, and if you didn't, it died.
I remember around that time, maybe a little bit later. I don't know if anyone had these. You get the Cybacos. You guys remember those?
I don't remember those.
So it was like pre-smartphone, but you got to have something that actually had a cellular connection. You didn't have to pay for it though. You used like a weird radio wave, and it was like
no.
It was like a Palm Pilot.
We're moving on.
Okay. I still have it somewhere.
Vader says Cabbage Patch dolls were stolen. They were a stolen design.
Oh, okay.
Maybe we can talk about that later. And then in the 2000s and beyond, now video games are all the craze, right? So it's like some new video game comes out every year, and everybody wants to get that or some system. And the Wii was like one of the first ones that was mega hit before some of the other ones came out. Like I remember everyone wanted a Wii because it was.
I remember the PS2
that motion
big,
thing that no one saw before. So
I remember PS2 being big though. I remember that.
Yeah, but the Wii was different, man. You had people buying these things and then selling them on eBay like the next day for double the price.
I don't think eBay was a thing at PS2. Like that was like early internet. I just remember like when Metal Gear Solid 2 came out for that, and that was the first time I waited for a game. I think it was, but I agree. The Wii was more of a toy. I always saw the Wii as a toy. I'm sorry, Nintendo fans, but like my brother wanted a Wii, and I'm like, you know what I want? I want a PS3. You can have your Wii. I want a PS3.
But the neat thing about a Wii was, like I said, it was motion, and no one's really put that in home before. Where you could move your hand around and the thing would, like, everybody played. Was it Mario Tennis? So
the Wii Sports. Actually, that's the first time, if you think about it, the game that came with it that had nothing to do with anything else was the thing everyone played. Like Super Mario didn't really care for that. It was
either the Mario Kart game because you could drive.
Yeah.
And then you had the tennis. where people broke a lot of TVs with that.
Yeah, but the Wii bowling and
Yeah, you know what I did when I got a Wii? Like it was when I started playing the tennis.
America! Yeah!
I would throw that in.
Isn't that why they had to have the wrist straps on it?
I didn't wear those. That's for sissies.
I remember I didn't get the Wii, but I did get the PlayStation Move and like the eye camera and all that. Like that was weird.
The chat's kind of laughing at the Wii.
Come on, what type of name was that? Like you knew it was being made fun of in this.
Yeah, but didn't you have your little Wii character?
I didn't play with any little Wiis.
Excuse me? You didn't play with any Wiis? Oh boy, I'm gonna have to cut this all out.
I didn't have a Nintendo Wii. I never got one. I got PS3 for the 4 times the price.
But that's fine. But I do remember a lot of people wanting this, and yeah, phrasing
Was a good year for the
so
new TVs.
If you can go back in time,
yeah,
to any of these decades and have one of these toys right off the shelf, which one would it be? I have a guess, but which one would it be?
It's a real tough choice between the Kenner Boba Fett with the firing rocket that didn't get to come out.
So you want the Star Wars toys?
Or right now, like if I wanted, honestly, I was a huge Power Ranger person. I was a huge Power Ranger fan as a kid, and I would want Saba, the White Rangers.
Okay. That would be sword. Like the 90s.
Yeah, that was. I had all the Zords. I had the weapons. I had everything from the Power Rangers. That was my show that I watched as a kid. Like,
okay.
And so that would be.
There you go. I'll send you back to the 90s, and you can get your Power Rangers.
Because I think those are now like $200 for the Saba, the new Hasbro Lightning or whatever it's called collection.
Well, there you go. Toys of the decade. Some of them I forgot about. I didn't realize that were that old. So that was pretty cool to see that kind of info.
What about you? What would you go back to get?
What would I go back to get?
Yeah.
Probably the G.I. Joes.
G.I. Joes? Okay, cool.
Yeah. They were just really unique, you know? So.